Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unbox. Game night has always been a tradition for generation, but in today's fast-paced world, they seem sometimes that take a backseat. Our guest today is on a mission to change that. Linda and Sue, co-founder of Spot On Games, turned their shared passion from playing into a business. It's all about bringing people together. Susan even left her 30 years career in software development, and Linda has been inventing games since the childhood. So thank you so much for both of you to be on our podcast today and sharing with us your journey in the toys and game industry so far.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So for our audience, could you, I don't know which one of you, but either one of you can start sharing on what inspired both of you to team up and launch the game company that you have today?
Yeah, I'll start. I tell everybody, don't get your kids a Christmas stocking that's too big, unless you want to start a game company, because I got my son a giant stocking, and every year it was always a challenge to find things to stuff it with. And one year I was walking through one of those big box stores and looking for things to put in Charlie's stocking, and I came across a game called Liar's Dice, which has been around since the 14th century. The Incas started Liar's Dice. And it came in a tube, so it was a perfect thing to fit in his stocking. And so, of course, on Christmas Day, we play Liar's Dice as a family. And for those who've played Liar's Dice before, they know there's a problem with Liar's Dice. You can raise the bid, you can challenge the bid, but what if the bid is spot on? There's nothing to do for that. So I fixed that, and in my family, we play Liar's Dice. We call it Spot On. And for years and years, I told all my friends and everybody I met, I was going to invent this game called Spot On, and I was going to market it and tell everybody, oh, that's so fun. You're so funny. You're going to do a game. They kind of made fun of me about it. I said, okay, yes, I'm going to do it someday. Yeah. And when I told Sue about it, she didn't make fun of me. It's probably 10 years later, 10 years of talking about it. Okay. And when I told Sue about it, she didn't make fun of me. She said, that sounds great. Let's, do it. Let's do this business that you're talking about. And which made me feel great, of course. And when we got together, she helped, and we got together and made it even better than that. We added more things to it. And we came up with that Spot On, and that's how it started. Our families knew each other, right? So you can tell about that, but our families knew each other. Our girls are good friends.
Yeah, I met Linda probably 16 years ago. Our daughters went to middle school together.
Oh, whoa, okay.
But for me, playing games, it's been such an important part of my life from when I was growing up through raising my kids. And game nights were especially important. We had game nights all the time. I was not familiar with Liar's Dice, but it was interesting because my son actually did want to create a game with me a few years prior. And we had gotten together in Houston with my daughter, and we played about 15 games over the course of 3 days. Just analyzing the games that we liked, we didn't like. We took all kinds of notes. And then our lives just got busy, and so we kind of put the whole thing on the back burner. But when Linda brought up this idea, the timing was perfect. I had just left my corporate job. And I knew that Linda and I together would make a great partnership. And so I didn't hesitate. And that's how it started.
I see. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
We have very different personalities, which complement each other. Very different. So, which is great partnership for us.
Yeah, that's very important.
Likes to do, I do things, and they're very different, which is which is perfect for a partnership. So
Yeah, I also run my business with my sister. I'm like a super extrovert. I love to talk to people. My sister is kind of the opposite. She's more like an introvert. She
yeah,
like to stay behind her laptop and do all the digital marketing stuff behind the scene. But I'm like the person, and I love to talk to people. That's why I do the podcast and also do the speaking engagement and all that. So it's definitely for any kind of
that
business, it's always good to have a balance like that. So.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know the company's mission is to bring the game night back. Why do you think it's so important in today's society nowadays?
So I'll go ahead and start. I think game nights have always been important. They're great at just bringing family and friends together,
Mhm.
and they do create lasting memories. They've always been very important. I think they've become more difficult to have, of course, during the pandemic. And
Mhm.
people's lives have just gotten busier. People are on their phones a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's especially important now to bring back game night, because we've lost that connection.
Mhm.
And I know, with my kids, they really miss the game nights that we had now that they don't live here.
Mhm.
And whenever they come in town, we always host a big game night. And
Mhm.
night isn't just for us about playing fun games. It's also about great drinks. We usually have a signature cocktail if it's an adult game night. And
Okay.
we bring in great food. We like to find new games. So usually we'll introduce a new game, but there's always family favorites.
Mhm.
And we have a nice mixture of different types of games, from the really fast action games to some that you have to think a little bit more. But it's just a great way to build connection and to make memories.
Mhm.
And
For
to
sure.
build community. I mean,
Yeah.
kids today, they are talking on their phones. Even families, you call your kids for dinner by texting them. They're up in their rooms, it's dinner time. You used to yell,
Yeah.
dinner,
Yeah.
so, you miss that. And you need to talk face to face with people once in a while. And you
Yeah.
learn skills playing games.
Mhm.
Yes, you're going to throw the Monopoly board once in a while. Those are skills too. You learn from those things, and
Yeah.
those are important things to grow up and learn through, and figure those dynamics out with your siblings and with your friends, and we kind of hope that kids after the basketball game are going to say, we're going to Bobby's house, we're going to play
Mhm.
Spot On, we'll order pizza. They're not
Mhm.
just going to go out and do other things, and we think they're going to have fun doing that. So
Mm.
we're going to encourage that, and it's not going to be a nerdy or a goofy thing to do. It's going to be a fun thing to do. So,
I see.
and it's all ages. We play with our grandparents, we play
Mhm.
with young kids, it's all ages. It's men, it's women, it's for ladies' night, it's for
Mhm.
couples nights, it's for
Mhm.
whole families. So, it's for everybody.
For sure. And I want to switch direction to talk a little bit more about the business aspect of the game company that you currently have. I know playtesting is a huge part of the game development. What have you learned by testing with your friends and family? And also, maybe if you can explain on how, I know you have an example of your game. If you can also quickly explain how does the rule for the spot on actually work?
Okay, I'll start. So when we did form the company and start talking about the game, we weren't even familiar with the concept of playtesting. I mean, certainly Linda had played a lot with her family, but the idea of formal playtests we weren't familiar with until my son educated us on that.
Mhm.
So we quickly pulled in other family members, friends, neighbors, people we hadn't seen in years,
Mhm.
to play the game and to get their point of view. We brought in young people and old people.
Yeah.
The play tests were really, really helpful.
Mhm.
One of the first play tests we had was to see how well it worked as a 6-person game, because Liar's Dice is a 4-person game, and here we were expanding it to a 6-person game
Mhm.
with the other rules and complexities of that Spot On.
Okay.
And out of that first play test, so every player has 5 dice. So there's 30 dice altogether if you're playing with 6 people.
Okay. Okay.
And during the course of the game, you lose dice, you get dice back, and keeping track of the dice in a 6-person game is complex. So out of that first play test, we realized we needed a matrix to track the dice, and that's became the dice tracker on the game board. So that was really great.
It's this part of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in a 6-person game, when there's 30 dice, the first person that loses a die gets placed on 30, and then the next number shows how many dice are remaining. So
Okay.
as people lose dice, they get put on the board, and then when you get dice back, you fill in the gap. So that was a great part that came out from our very first game
With
test.
3 people, play, it's 15, that kind of thing, right?
Yep.
5 people, 25, depending on how you start.
Right. So the dice tracker is useful for any number of games, any number of players.
People are always asking how many dice are left, how many, and this way you can just glance at the board and you know exactly, kind of informs your next bid.
Right.
Yeah.
Another other subsequent play tests, we realized how important it was to remind people of what moves you have after the first bid. And so we were constantly reminding people. So then we put that on the game board as well. And that's been great. So you've got 5 different options after the first bid. And the reminder at the bottom is something that Linda will talk about.
So, yeah, this is one of the most fun things about Spot On. So not only can you call Spot On if your bid is exactly right, which completely fixes Liar's Dice, but anybody can call it at any time during the game. So if there's 6 people around a round table, you picture that. The first person says, let's say there's 6 people playing and there's 30 dice, and the first bid, somebody says there's 15 sixes, because what you're doing is you're trying to guess what's under. So everybody has a cup, everybody has 5 dice, shake them, turn them over, you peek under, and you're trying to guess what face value is under everybody's cup. The ones are wild. Okay. So you're trying to guess. So somebody might guess there are 15, that's an idea, 15 sixes of everybody's, including the ones under everybody's cup. So then the next person can either raise the bid, they can challenge the bid if they think that's ridiculous. They can say, no, I challenge that. They can declare it spot on, meaning that it's exactly right. They believe it's exactly right. Or they can use a token. We have we have a pass token and we have a reverse token. They can send it back. They can move it to the next person. So there's all kinds of fun things that can happen. But one of the most fun things, and what Sue was talking about on the board, is anybody at any time, even the person that just did the bid, can yell out spot on, meaning the bid is exactly right. So the person can say 15 sixes spot on. Or a person around the table, if it's not their turn, can yell spot on if they think it's exactly right. And it stops the bidding cold. Everybody lifts their cup. Everybody pushes their 6s and their 1s, which are wild, forward, and they count them up. Now, if it is spot on and it's exactly right, if a player has lost one of their dice, they can get one back.
Okay.
And so that's great, because if you lose something, it's fun to get something back. If they're wrong, then they lose a dice. One of their dice. Now, to win the game, it's the person who has dice left at the end of the game. You're out as soon as you lose all your 5 of your dice. So that's how you win the game.
I see. Okay.
Losing dice. That's kind of a mishmash way of explaining the game, but it's really fun. And it's fun to just yell stuff out. Everybody loves to yell stuff out. You at the game fair, we wanted a prize. Sue can show you that, because we try to throw up our hands when we yell spot on and get excited about things. So it's a very fun game.
Okay, got it.
So, just one other thing on that. So, playtesting helped kind of evolve the game, as well as, help us tweak the rules to make sure things were as clear as possible. So playtesting, yes, very important for a lot of good reasons.
Yeah. And what were some of the biggest challenge that you experienced in designing and manufacturing your first game, and how do you overcome some of them?
So, for me, I can tell you that just the overall timeline for getting it all done was much longer than we had hoped. And we worked as hard as we could to get things moved more quickly, but it just takes time. I came from a software development background in a very fast-paced business. So we turned changes around. We did designs, we did coding so quickly. But the game design and manufacturing process takes time, and that was tough. One of the things that did help, another thing I should say is this is our first game, so there was a learning curve.
Yeah.
We had to find the graphic designer, the manufacturer, the warehouse. We had to figure out the online tools we needed, the sites we needed to be on. So, that also impacted, the timeline for all of this. But one thing that did help us was reaching out to other people in the game industry for their advice and recommendations. And even though the whole process took long, it probably would have taken much longer had we not received the great input from the mentors that we ended up finding.
That's definitely a great share. Yeah, learning from other people's experiences, and that's actually one of the mission of this podcast is to share people's experiences, so we all learn from each other as
The
well.
willingness of people to help, it was really, I guess, surprising. It shouldn't have been surprising, but it was, and nice, really nice that everyone was so great about that.
I see. And is there any other like surprising or unexpected lesson that you have learned along the way?
Little things that you don't think of. They say you have to have 6 colors of cups, right? And then they say, go get this, and you think,
that's like
what?
100 different colors that you can choose from,
right?
Yeah.
And I have a blue cup. What? A blue cup?
What kind of blue,
just things you just don't think of that you don't know. What you don't know is a lot, right?
Yeah.
So that I guess was kind of surprising.
The surprising thing to me is that Linda sees red as pink.
Red, pink.
We had a lot of discussions on colors.
Problems with colors.
But another thing, we talked about this briefly, but we were surprised. We knew that the game industry was very competitive. So we've been very surprised. We continue to be surprised at how helpful everyone has been, given that the game industry is competitive. We've reached out to game inventors that have been so responsive and willing to share everything with us. And that's been surprising. It's been really nice.
Yeah. I think overall industry and is everyone's fairly friendly unless you are the direct competitor, I guess. But because there's so many different variety of games, so we are not really in direct competition of each other. So
no, but even people who are really, really successful, it's really nice that they've taken time out to help out.
Yeah.
For sure. And I know you have in the pre-interview, you also discussed you have choose some grassroots marketing approach. And can you also share some of the strategy you have been trying to really get your names into people's hand and really raise that awareness about the product?
Sure. I think the reason that we really chosen to do more of a grassroots approach is because of how we feel about the game itself and how we feel about our mission to get game nights going again. It all comes back to that, and how we feel about the best way to tell people about Spot On is really to talk about it and to teach it. And the best way to learn it is to show it. We do believe in this box, and we think that if people see it on a shelf or they see a picture of it, they're going to say, oh, that's an amazing design, and I want to learn more about it. For sure, we think that's true. But at the same time, we think the best way to sell it is to talk about it. And we believe so strongly in it, and we honestly, it sounds kind of braggy, but we've never met anybody that didn't love it when they played it. So we really feel like the grassroots approach, the organic approach to teach it to one person, they'll teach it to another person, and to spread it that way is going to work best for us, and that the longevity of it is going to be there. So we've made a really great product. We've worked really hard on the cups that we chose. We made a really solid box. We made great dice. We picked all these things out that we know are going to last forever. When I have a Monopoly game that is the same Monopoly game that my parents head when they were kids, and it's lasted forever. So I know that if I talk to people and sell this game, it's going to be worth something to them and their families. So I just know, I believe in it so strongly, and I feel like if I talk to people about it and teach it to them, that's going to be my best approach. That's just how I feel about it. I feel so attached to it, and so personally invested in it. And because we believe it's a community kind of a thing, it all stems from that mission, I guess. It sounds hokey and corny, but I guess that's kind of how, at least I do. I feel like that's the approach where we want to go. And also, when we go to local stores here, we know the owner. We brought our kids there when they were little. They sit on the floor and they play with the toys there. And we're going to bring our grandchildren to those same stores. So we want to start there and kind of work our way out from there. And that's kind of where our approach comes from.
Yeah, and that actually lead to my follow-up question. I know you are trying to focus more on the specialty toy store instead of like big box retailer. What are some of the reason that led to that decision?
I mean, I think it's what I've just talked about. Is just that, just the feeling of local and in supporting those people that we know and grew up with, and the community aspect of it. We just kind of want to start there and see how that goes, and really support them.
Yeah, and I think you will be also attending Astra this year, correct?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a specialty kind of a focus trade show, which is very different than New York Toy Fair as well. But can you also share with our audience that haven't? I think this is your first New York Toy Fair.
Was.
So can you also share like what was your experience attending the first New York Toy Fair, which is huge? So
it was huge, and it was very exciting. It was overwhelming, to say the least, but it was also very rewarding. We went in with a goal to get excitement about the game. And I don't think we've mentioned, the game, we don't have it in the warehouse yet. It's going to be there Monday or Tuesday of this coming week. But we did have 12 games air shipped to us. So we would have the games at the toy fair. So we wanted this was our introduction of the game to the community. And we wanted to get excitement around the game. We wanted to showcase the game, show how great it is to, everybody. So we had a great team at the toy fair that did an awesome job pulling absolutely anybody and everybody in to play the game. And it went over great. I mean, some people stayed for a long time and played. We had, Linda can talk about Mr. Spot On, but overall, it was very successful. We made some sales too, so that was awesome on some pre-orders. We met a lot of great people that have, we've gone back and asked them questions since the toy fair. So we've established some great relationships from that toy fair, so that was great too. So Linda, you can add some things.
I mean, the things that we're going to, of course, we had all of those things are true. And I think the things we're going to remember about it were the stories, the personal stories. And Mr. Spot On was a guy named Garrett who came and played for a long, I think he played, I don't remember the time. It was like 40 minutes, I think we timed. He played.
Oh, whoa, okay.
It's a spot on record, so we called him Mr. Spot On, and he just kept yelling "Spot On" and putting his hands up, and he drew all kinds of crowds, and we just laughed best time with him, and it's just fun. It just was so much fun. And one day, I think it was the first day, I'll probably cry telling this story, but yeah, I'm gonna. We were walking back to our hotel after the long day, because it's a long day. And it was three of us, and there was a big group in front of us, and we wanted to kind of get around them to get back to our hotel and rest up for the next day. And we tried to get past them and said, "Excuse us, can we get by?" And we started up a conversation with this group, and we said, "What are you guys doing at the toy fair?" And they told us, and they said, "What do you guys?" And we said, "We have a game." And they said, well, what did you see at the toy fair that you liked today? And we told them, we didn't get really out too much because we were so busy at our booth. And we said, what did you guys see? And they said, well, one of our friends said they saw a dice game that was really great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, what was it called? And they said, I can't remember the name of it, but I think he sent us a picture. And so they started looking through their phone and
Yeah.
said, oh, here it is. It's called That's Spot On. I started into tears. They said he said it was the best game at the whole toy fair. And he helped these people and took pictures, and those are the things I'm going to remember about the toy fair. It was a dream come true. And
that's a nice story.
And it also helped. I mean, we opted for the Launchpad area, which is an area of the toy fair for new inventors, and I think that was really, really good for us. It was a smaller space, but it brought in a lot of people that were interested in what's new out in the market. So, so that ended up being really great. And we did also make great relationships with the inventors around us. So hopefully we'll see some of them at Astra, but that was really nice as well.
Yeah. Those are kind of things, yeah.
So what is next for Spot On as a company? Any exciting new project in the work?
Well, I can tell you, what's next with us right now is finally, after being en route from China, it'll be in the warehouse on Monday or Tuesday. We've been waiting for it for over 2 months. So we're going to be very busy as a company getting it out in the marketplace. We've got some strategies. We've got a lot of pre-orders to send out.
Okay.
So the next few weeks will be very focused on doing that. Linda?
Yeah, we have got huge big plans, but we can't tell too much because then we'd have to kill you.
I see. Yeah, well, let's keep that a secret then.
Top secret. No, we've got some great new plans, some different variations of that Spot On that will be really fun, and we've got some other games that we don't want to tell too much about, but hopefully they'll be out soon too.
Got it. And as well, wrapping up today's interview, if you have to share just one piece of advice with someone that's getting started in the toys and game industry, what would that be?
For me, I would say definitely partner up with someone, because doing it together with someone makes it a lot more fun. And it's great having someone to bounce ideas off of. So having at least another partner is really ideal, and hopefully someone with complementary skills, like we were saying.
Yeah.
I'm quite left brain, Linda's quite right brain, and also just reaching out to people for help, because people are very willing to help. So I think that's what I would say.
I would say don't let the naysayers get you down. As my mom would say, don't let the turkeys get you down. I was a middle child, and I had to be loud to be heard. And I waited a really long time to make this dream come true, but I made it come true, and it's not too late. I'll cry now, but it's been really fun. It's been one of the most fun things I've ever done, and it can happen. It can happen for anybody. So.
Yeah, I see. Thank you for sharing that. Where is the best place for people to find you online?
We do have a website, and we've been taking pre-orders on the website for the last several weeks. So certainly on the website. We are working to get on Amazon, but that's taking a while.
www.spotongames.com.
Yes.
We'll make that in the show note.
Yeah. Instagram, Linda?
At Spot On Games.
Yep.
Yeah.
I see.
And for retailers, we'll be up on Fair shortly.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I'll put some of that into our show note as well.
Thank
So,
you.
and for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed today's conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resource tips and the latest update within the toys and game industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag #ToyBusinessUnbox. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestion for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joys to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unbox podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank
Bye.
you.